Hi everyone, we are going to do a tier list, a 2024 altcoin biggest gains sort of vibe, right? I've picked obvious picks here. Disclaimer, I may not pick the coins that you hold, there's about 34 of them, but I have picked the obvious because why not? I've picked stuff that I know as well, some stuff that I've avoided because I don't really know what they are, so I don't really want to waffle bollocks. But ultimately, it's in a simple tier list. Let's get into it. 5x, 10x, 20x, 30x, I'm above 50x. I've picked some favorites of the channel, I've picked some of my own investments, and I've picked, as I say, obvious coins, right? So when we talk about it, we're going to be looking at risk to reward sort of vibe. We're going to look at maybe some market capitalization of some assets to kind of prove a point. Because some people on YouTube are really getting on my tits because, wow, some of the gains and the potential, like some people going, oh, AVAX is going to go to like 50x from here. No, it's not. But you get the idea. Anyways, the first one is a black one and it's stellar. I'll be honest with you, not too hopeful on this doing anything mental in the market. I just don't. My opinion on it. I just don't really, just from here, 5x, you're probably pushing it. Polygon. Nah. Again, we talk about this. This is kind of in between these two, in my opinion. It's kind of like, could it 10x? Maybe. That would send it to like $8. But 5x would be pretty good from here. It's actually held up pretty well in the bear market. So those, if it was going back down to like, say, 30 cents, 10x. But because it hasn't gone back down to those levels yet, I'm going to say 5x. But hey ho. Another interesting one is Cardano. I think this could 10x from here. Personal opinion. I think it could see a $5 level, and it wouldn't shock me if it did. It's solid. I don't mind it. I don't get the hate for it. Just don't understand it. But that's, again, my opinion. Another interesting one is Uniswap. It is a governance token. There's not as much utility there. And when we look at the chart, I've got this one up actually. It's down here, don't get me wrong. Like, a 5x from here could see it do a nice little run, but that's literally all-time high levels, right? Give or take, well, maybe not, down here. You get the idea, but we'll see. I don't want to say that's going to 10x from here because I think that'll be, as I say, governance as a utility, not the best. So, on to Tron. Again, I think probably a 5x on this. I think a lot of things on here will be 5x's, by the way, just because of where they are. But we'll see. We'll see where we go. The lower down we go, the more obvious it's going to get. But 5x on Tron seems obvious when you look at the market capitalization of it in the past. Obviously, it's had some big booms, but it's been growing really well over the course of the market. And obviously, the supply is now, they're fully out, fully diluted. But we'll see. But I can't see that just doing a 10x from here personally. But we'll see. Litecoin, it's just a bit shit, isn't it? Sorry, anyone who holds Litecoin. Another one, obvious one, Ethereum. I can't see this doing a 10x or anything higher than that. I just can't in terms of the market price right now. It's got potential to do okay. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, it could go much higher than all-time high. But when we talk about 10x from here, are we really going to see this go to $25,000? Not in a cycle, no. But we'll see. Anyways, AVAX. Might be a controversial one, this one. So if we're going to say 10x from here, we're looking at 129 billion. I think this is a kind of a one where it's kind of in between the two. It's doing okay, but do I see $129 billion? When we think about what has been that sort of price range, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and not much else, right? So it's interesting. I think we're kind of in between those two. So I'm going to leave it in the 5x. And I'm not going to rank these, by the way, in order, if you're wondering. It'll get too messy. Bitcoin, very, very obvious. Why? I can't see that doing a 10x from here. I just can't see us being like a $450,000 in this upcoming cycle. Maybe in the future, don't get me wrong, maybe in 10 years or whatever, we could see some really, really crazy numbers. But I just can't see it in the course of the next couple of years it going to 450,000 because considering from the cycle low, well, essentially the market low, the market of $15,000 to 420,000, whatever it may be, is a big run. Probably a bit too much in my opinion, but we'll see. Moving on to Solana. I think there's a 10x here just due to the hype of it. I think again, it's another one. Why does it get so much hate? Yes, it can't tell the time sometimes, but there's a genuine room here for competition and hype. Sounds mad to say it, but it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if it does do a 10x from here and it goes to $1,000 because of the hype. However, I am going to say probably not. It's going to be unlikely, but again, I talk about it quite a lot. Cryptocurrency, it's one of those weird things where things run further than you think, and Solana's got that kind of element to it. We'll see. If it competes with Ethereum, like properly, I could get into, and that would be the one to watch for me, personally. Monero is an interesting one. I'm going to put this on 5x. Privacy element to it is like, our exchange is going to delist it. What's regulation going to be like? Uncertainty, all that kind of stuff. Starting to get to the point now of getting some interesting assets. I want to get rid of some of the other big ones, and then we'll go to the smaller ones. Dogecoin, nah. XRP, nah. You get the idea here. XRP, nah. Dogecoin diminishing returns with the supply for obvious reasons. I mean, Dogecoin's done well. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's still in the top 10. But do I see this doing a 10x? There's potential there to do a 10x. Don't get me wrong. But since the last time it was at 80 cents or whatever it was, there's a lot of change with the market capitalization. I'll show you this. It's kind of clear. You can see where it was, right? But in terms of that time frame from the 9th of May 2021, there's a lot more assets out, right? So for it to achieve that number, the market cap will be much higher. So that could be fun. But who knows? Hype, currency, maybe. Any more big ones that we can look at? Probably not. Anyways, Hedra Hashgraph has a lot of potential in my opinion. I think it's a decent asset. Again, it's another one of those where, okay, it could do better in terms of like previous cycles. Its data wasn't great, but it's actually held up very, very well in the bear market, right? When we look at like overall, it's actually did okay. And it has consolidated for quite some time. Didn't have an absolute horrible kind of price action. Like some assets just kept on going down. This one stopped for a while. But you can see here, it's kind of obvious where this one, there's a lot of risk to reward here. It's still down, 81%, in terms of all. But from the top here, 50 cents, there's a lot of room to grow, right? So it's kind of a clear one. Again, Polkadot, probably a very, very clear and obvious one. But for me, I think this could easily 10x. I know I'll say the word easily, I'm obviously a bit biased here. But when we look at what's coming, and the fact that it's roughly around $7 and its all-time high was 55, it wouldn't shock me if on a new cycle it would do an all-time high. That's kind of my opinion on it. Another one that's interesting is a favorite of the channel is Moonbeam. This could really ramp up if they get their developments right, and obviously risk to reward where it is. I'm pretty sure it's market capitalization. Let's have a little look. Moonbeam. So if we're looking at this as a 20x potentially, a $6.7 billion market capitalization, $8.18. That wouldn't shock me for a layer 1 Ethereum virtual machine on the Polkadot ecosystem if Polkadot takes off. It would not shock me in the slightest at all if that was the case. So there we go. Reserve rights. This is a favorite of the channel. And I don't think it's going to do as well as people think. I've sold this like a couple of weeks back, just because I'm unsure of the stable currency regulation and I don't want to be caught in the headlights here. I think personally it's going to struggle. I just got a feeling it's going to struggle now. There's too much going on and the volume has tapered off massively. You can see the volume is just totally just dying off. But you've also got to think the supply chain has totally ruined it. When this was doing really well, there was only like 10 billion out. Now there's like a lot more. So I think that might struggle. But I do think there's potential rooms to grow here because of obviously, as I've talked about before in previous videos, the tide of the market is huge here, right? Where everything goes up, everything will go up and wash with it, right? So you may well find that this could well do a 10x, but that is only going to deliver a very small gain for a lot of people, and that's going to probably upset a lot of people. But that's my opinion on it. That could be fun. But yeah, potential 10x there at least. Another interesting one is Chainlink. Ooh. Chainlink, for me, is much better than what it was 6 months ago, right? Chainlink, I know a lot of people go, oh, you criticize it, but it was fucking shit. There was nothing there. About a year, 2 years ago, there was nothing there. It was like not even worth buying. And it proved it in the charts. In the BTC pairs, it was just literally like a ski slope. It was just absolutely dying. Now it's a lot better. However, there's a lot of hype around it. Do I think a fully diluted Chainlink is going to do a 10x at $150 billion? And I understand the real tokenization world, real asset tokenization, whatever. But I cannot see this doing like more than a 10. I just can't see it. I think a 5x is pretty much nailed on. But anything above 10x, I'm going to struggle to state that. But let's put it in there. Let's do a 10x. $150 Chainlink? Go on then. VeChain, a favorite of mine. I hold a little bit of my Patreon portfolio. VeChain always does well in cycles for some bizarre reason. And it's low. When we look at the market cap of this as well, and we look at like where it's been, look at that. Like, oof, there's a lot of room to the upside here. It's only a $2 billion asset. And this was an absolute monster, right? We're talking previous levels at 16 billion. So yeah, I do think there's a potential 10x there, quite clearly. ICP, the worst launch I have ever seen. The worst launch I've ever seen in my life. It literally came out, ranked 4 or 5. I was like, what's this? And then all of a sudden, VC just went, it died. But there's a massive, in my opinion, there's a massive amount of potential gains here. When you look at it, I know now it's gone up a lot. It may not be as good, but this was like $3 not too long ago, right? It was literally absolutely, and now it's obviously tickled up a little bit. You can see there's a lot of room here for it to do well. And like the chart just looks horrible, but there is some genuine room to grow here. Wouldn't shock me if this does do a very, very easy 5x from here, but it could well do a 10x. You know, that's the thing. Could well easily do a 10x from here and be back up at these launch levels. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I'll risk it. Bitcoin Cash. Bye-bye. ARB. Probably a 10x. Filecoin is an interesting one. Why is this an interesting one? It's been around for a while as a thing, but not as a token, right? I remember when this came out in 2017. I think Tron got sued for copying their white paper or something daft like that. It's crazy. But it's only really had like, you know, when you talk about like this wasn't out, by the way, if you're wondering. I know it's like there. But then all of a sudden it came out. Boof. Bang. Obviously VCs, all that kind of stuff, wash out. There's potential here that this does well. Now, this has a genuine use case where you're probably thinking, well, what can this actually do in life? It's all right, you know, decentralized storage. It's got a lot of things going for it. We'll see how that goes, right? As people develop their cloud tokenomics and all that kind of bollocks. But there's, in my opinion, definitely a 5 to 10x here. Probably a 10x potentially. This could easily be a $30 billion market capitalization coin. Easily. But we'll see if that allows us to happen. What are these ones? So, Near Protocol. I'm going to put it there. I am biased, don't get me wrong. But this could easily fly. When we look at what this could do, so let me just have a look at, you know, Near Protocol. And if we go, say, 20x here. Now, sounds mental, but this is a layer 1 ecosystem that could well be a $50 to $70 billion market capitalization, which would put it where, actually a lot lower than what Cardano did in the previous cycle. I think Cardano was like $90 billion. There's definitely room to grow there. So I am definitely confident that that could easily 10 to 20x. I'm going to put it in the 20x level just to be a bit ballsy. Why not? Aptos, another one, relatively new. However, I don't know too much about it. But again, it's very much unknown. It hasn't been around that long, right, when we talk about it. So again, yes, it's new, it's squeaky clean. There's a lot of things good for it, in my opinion. But as I say, it's not been out that long. We don't have much data. But when we look at market capitalization and stuff like that, yeah, there's potential here that this could do really well. It's, you know, it's a decent bit of kit as well. So this could be fun going forward. So as you can see, decent partnerships too. So could be interesting. I don't want to go, as I say, too mental, but new assets in a new market, bull cycle, do well. MakerDAO. I think this is a very much a good one. If this was lower in price now, this would probably do a 20x. I've been in this for a while on my Patreon portfolio. It's actually doing very, very well. I was getting buy orders in about, $600, $700. Now it's about $2,000. And there's a genuine realization here that when we think about DAI and the collateralization of that and more people wanting to use that, that's going to go up. It's also going to rebrand soon as well, so that could be very, very interesting to see how it goes. So another interesting one is Graph. I think Graph could probably do a 20x from here. This could be interesting as well in terms of the future. When we look at where it's been at the lows, it's been roughly 5 cents. It's now about 16 cents. But when we look at where it has been in the past, it was a $2 coin, right? Which is crazy, right? When you look at market capitalization, obviously, yes, there's a big difference in terms of supply rates now. But in terms of price, there's definitely a room to grow. In my opinion, there's a lot of room to grow, which you can probably see. So that could be very, very fun to see how the price moves. But that being said, it looks a bit crazy when you start talking about a $1.7 billion asset when this has changed in terms of dilution of the funds. So I might well actually take that back a little bit. Bear with me. Let me just rein myself in. That could be more of a 10x, but in terms of price, you may well get it. But again, this is a problem, and I think people forget this. Like, market capitalization of like all these assets make it a bit more far-fetched, and you start doubting yourself. Because say if they've been holding, say, 80% of the tokens and like 60% of them went to like team, VCs, advisors, whatever, it's all out now. It's like, okay, but yeah, dilution. Not as many things were locked. When things are locked, it's different, right? OP, probably do a 10x. Same with like ARB and stuff like that. Solid asset, layer 2, solves a problem, probably do okay. What are these? Algorand. Yes. Algorand to me is very much under the radar for me. I think that. I'm using my Polkadot as an Algorand player at the moment. I want some Algorand. I should really get some, to be honest with you. Being perfectly honest there. $1.5 billion market cap. Most of the supply is out. It is one of the fastest chains out there. It's just got slaughtered by the SEC. When we look at where it's been in the past as well, obviously when it launched, it was up here. But in terms of the all-time highs of this, $2.20. It's now 19 cents. There's a lot of room to grow here. So yeah, there's definitely something here that could well be very, very interesting. What is this? Quant. I'm going to put that down here, probably be controversial. I think the central bank digital currencies and the regulation stuff is going to see this kind of get short-term pain versus long-term growth. But we'll see. I mean, as much as I like it, it has had a massive run in the last year, but it struggled. Like recently, it has genuinely struggled. You can see that. A lot of the market looks very different to what this is. Hasn't really moved much. Whereas we've had a little spikes in the past, and obviously we had a spike here. Yes, there's obviously room to grow. But if you're talking about 10x from here, that's going to be a $1,000 coin. I think that's going to be quite hard to achieve. But a 5x, certainly in my opinion, possible. Phantom's an interesting one. It's gone down a lot, but there's a lot of like speculation between who's building the contracts. Is, the main man there or not? Is he going to stay? Because there's always times where he leaves, which is annoying. But yeah, when we talk about risk to reward on, something like, Phantom as well, it is there. And a 5x to a lot of people is probably pretty good. But when we talk about this, yeah, a 5x wouldn't be a shocker. Will it go beyond its all-time high? I don't know. There's a lot more vehicles out there now. There's a lot more things that could have diluted it a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see how things go with that one. That could be an interesting one. But I don't think that could do a 10x from this point onwards, in my opinion. Atom's another interesting one. Again, we talk about like how things have gone a little bit wrong for Atom recently with, I think there was a fork and all kinds of weird stuff happening. A lot of the community went against, I don't know the full ins and outs, right? But when we look at this and we think, well, all-time high, roughly around $40, for it to do a 10x from here, it's going to do a new all-time high. And I think that might be a struggle. So this one's a bit of an interesting one. So yeah, we'll see how things go there. Injective, it's already ran. If that does a 10x from here, that's gone mental. But my opinion is I don't think it's going to run much higher. Aave is another one. I don't think it's going to run much harder than what it has run in the past. There's a lot of DeFi vehicles now. Back in the day when this was really going off in 2020, there wasn't much out there other than Compound. So yeah, lots have changed. Now, we'll get into the interesting bits, some of my holds and some of the favourites of the coins. Now, in my opinion, there's some mental ones here. And obviously, yes, I've done a lot of a safer bet here in terms of where things can go for obvious reasons. Why not? But Bifrost to me could easily 30x because of the liquid staking narrative, as well as the fact that it's only a small market cap coin. Polkadot, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm already like 21x up or something daft, and I didn't even think I'd get that far. I mean, I'm surprised I'm still holding it, I'll be honest. But ultimately, when we look at these lower cap coins, it gets very, very interesting. So if we look at the likes of Bifrost again, right? 1 second. There's a big narrative that could play. 16.5 million market cap coin. Liquid staking derivatives is huge in Ethereum and has some massive, room there to grow. When we look at where this has been in the past, obviously as it came out, this hasn't had a bull cycle, so this could really fly. So yeah, a 30x probably on the cards potentially there. Polkadot, as I say, not quite sure. Probably from this point onwards, I would be over the moon with a 30x from this point. I would absolutely be loving that. Is it likely? Possible, but it depends on Algorand. If Algorand genuinely does a 20x from this point, you're going to see a lot of multiples in some of the shitcoin narratives in Algorand, put it that way. And Oasis, Rose. For me, I can see this doing a 20x from this point onwards, which to some people sounds pretty mental. But at the end of the day, it hasn't really had a full proper cycle with all of its stuff. Its ecosystem is now coming out, which is huge, right? Huge to see that there's an ecosystem coming out. If we're looking at a 20x there, it's, over $2. 15.2 billion doesn't sound surprising. So when I look at that, I think, yeah, that is, for me, a genuine possibility. On here, though, as you can see, there's no 50x's. I think maybe due to market timing. I think if I did this video maybe 6 months prior, we may well see a lot more in the upper echelons of this. But there's also a lot of obvious picks here that have already ran well or done good things. But this is the first tier list I've ever done. Thought I'd pick an obvious, simple one. We could do different variations for a bit of fun, a bit of a giggle. But yeah, let me know if you like. Anyways, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you've got some value here, if you've got some of my perspective. But yeah, I would not be crying at all if any of these things happen. If, 5x's, 10x's from here on a lot of things, laughing.